YouTube. Just waiting for the audio to come through. Testing. Make sure the volume's good and everything. And it's not. There it goes. So I'm gonna wait for a couple of people to trickle in before I really get started, but I see if they do. Maybe they won't, but we'll see. And yeah, this stream is just sort of to update because my Megaman X FPS devlog that I posted about a year ago has been getting a lot of views. It's been getting a lot of attention. It kind of blew up. It went from something like what was it? I think just a few hundred views to like now it's over 60,000, or it's just about to be over 60,000, and that's really cool because I didn't, when I initially posted it a year ago, it seemed like there wasn't that much interest, and so I moved on to other things. But since there's interest in the project, that gives me a reason to go back to it and keep working on it, which is cool because it was really fun to work on. And so it's cool to have a reason to go back to it. So I'm hyped about that. And so this is just going to be a little stream to kind of update on the progress that I've made since I posted that video and where I'm going to kind of head with it, and also just kind of the whole scope of the project. Just to give everyone kind of an idea who might not have yet, and also to answer some questions. People are free to ask questions in the chat here, but also just there's been a lot of questions on the comments of the original devlog, and so I wanted to answer some of the ones that got asked a lot and kind of show. I'm going to play the game live as well tonight and show just kind of that, and also show some of the other concept art and stuff that I've done for it. So yeah, I think this will be fun. It'll give everyone a really good idea of like what the project actually is, and how it's going. So I'll start getting into it. Yeah, so since I posted the video, I haven't worked on the game much because, again, like I said, it didn't get that much traction at the time and until recently. And so I, moved on to other things, and I just put it in the back burner, like something I'll work on when I have free time and stuff. So I did a little bit on it, and I'm going to start showing that on my screen here. I'm going to move over to this here. So this is my ArtStation, and this is where I post a lot of my concept artwork and stuff like that. And over here I have the information for the game. This is just kind of the post that I made originally for that, and it shows, this is the link to the video, the YouTube video that I'm talking about, where people have been watching now and commenting and stuff, which is cool. And so I'm just going to go through some of this. This is the mesh that I made. So all the stuff in the game is custom, that I made myself. I didn't use any templates or any pre-made assets for anything Megaman related. There's just like the targets and obviously the block and meshes. Those are pre-existing assets. But as far as Megaman and all of his animations and all that stuff, it's all custom stuff, and this is just kind of showing off the mesh that I made initially. I didn't make a head originally because it was going to be an FPS, and it is an FPS, but I mean, I didn't know how to like put a camera there and not this is how like new I was to Unreal and stuff. I didn't know how to put a camera there and not like have the mesh interfere with it. So I just initially made him without a head, which is kind of funny. But I made a head for him now, and I'll get to that as we go on. But yeah, this is just kind of a video showing some of the animations that I did. We won't sit through all this, but this is kind of showing like all that stuff. And you can check this out at the link. I posted the link in the YouTube if you want to go through these project things. And there's some mechanics comparisons that show like what the original mechanics kind of looked like in the game, and how I'm translating that to 3D and an FPS, and how it's accurate to the game, which is the goal that I wanted. I really wanted to make it feel like a 3D modern FPS version of that same game. And so I wanted to keep it as true to that as possible. And so that's kind of the goal that I set out with. And part of the reason for that is because this whole project was meant to be just something for me to teach myself Unreal Engine, something to focus on. And the reason I chose Mega Man X to remake is because it really is one of the best designed games. And I thought it would be cool to reimagine that and translate that to a 3D modern kind of game. And because it has such good underlying mechanics, it would let me focus on the technical aspect of just translating them to Unreal Engine to learn how to implement things like that in Unreal Engine without having to also work at the same time on the creative part of coming up with my own mechanics and seeing if they work in a game and all that stuff. So this was just sort of to learn the technical side of Unreal was the goal. And my scope for that was initially to create a vertical slice, which is a game development term that just means kind of like it's like if you took a vertical slice of a cake, you're getting all the layers of the cake. So it means you're getting a little bit of everything that has to do with the game. And so it's just like a little, it's like a mini encapsulation of everything you'll see in that game. And Mega Man X's intro stage is like the perfect vertical slice of like any game ever, which is kind of what an intro stage should be. It's, like nowadays you'll have a tutorial section of a game, like at the beginning, which is basically what that is, like the intro stage of Mega Man X, and it just sort of goes through like what the game is. It has a little bit of everything that you'll experience in the game in like a small version. So like if you think about the Mega Man X intro stage, it has pretty much all of the basic mechanics, and it also has like, enemies that you fight, a mini boss that you fight, and a boss that you fight, and it sort of gives you a really good introduction of the game. And so my whole scope with this project was just to make the first intro stage, but that includes, Vile, the boss fight, the mini boss fight with the bumblebee bots that fly. I never knew the name of those. And then, the cutscenes that those would involve and all that stuff as well. So I figured since that's such a perfect vertical slice that already exists, it would be good to make that an Unreal Engine, because that would be a really good way to learn how to use Unreal Engine and develop my own game. And that is what I want to do eventually, is make my own game. But for the time being, I'm going to focus on this and continue learning how to develop in Unreal Engine. So that's sort of my explanation of the scope of things, and I'll just keep scrolling through here. There's more stuff, just comparing the mechanics. I got a lot of questions about the dash, so when I open the game right now and play it, that's probably the first thing I'm going to address, because there are a lot of people who are kind of either confused about it or they didn't quite get how it was working. So I'll talk about that a little bit. And here's some concept art that I did for the road. One thing that I didn't have yet in the video was assets other than Mega Man implemented, and so I actually made this in 3D already based on this concept art, and it's in the game now. So when I open the game right now, you'll see that. And then this was like, I got a lot of questions about his, well, not a lot, but I got a couple comments about his Buster, how Mega Man X doesn't have the yellow thing on his Buster, but I decided to bring that back from the old Mega Man games because I thought it would be cool if, like, in the game, instead of a normal HUD, you have like this, like where you just see the health bar, which is the lighter yellow, skinnier bar next to it, and then the right is just sort of an energy thing that just shows like when you're charging an attack or what weapon you're using. It'll change color based on that kind of thing. So I thought that would be cool, and then just have other UI elements for his sort of his own HUD, maybe other HUD kind of stuff, like the crosshair and maybe like a warning sign and different stuff like that. But yeah, I figured I would have that main stuff on his Buster. I just thought that was a cool idea. I always liked that in whatchamacallit, in Dead Space. I thought that was really cool, so I wanted to try to do something like that. And I came up with other ideas for like what it might look like. I decided to go with kind of the classic look that the original Megaman design has. But I actually think now, looking back, that this was actually probably a better option, this one, because it's similar to that old one, but it's a little more modern, and it would probably be more fitting for Mega Man X. So to update it a little bit. So I might wind up changing it to this at some point, or from this to that more real sort of sophisticated version, I guess. But yeah, so I'll be opening the game up here in a second, and you'll see where it's at so far. But yeah, so that's just another thing I was thinking. So this was concept art I did for the look of his head and stuff, and his face. And I knew I wanted him to be more realistic, but I wasn't necessarily sure if I wanted him to have like a full-on realistic face like A over here. And I sort of did a bunch of paintings and gradually figured out that I didn't like B either. It sort of looks like a lemur, kind of a weird face. And then C was the one that was the most like the reference here. Like it looks just like Mega Man X. But the thing that I thought would be weird is, since it's in 3D now and it's more realistic, is that when you look up underneath the helmet, you'll see his eyes, and it'll just be this big, really weird half circle oval kind of anime eye shape. So I wound up doing this kind of thing where I cut them a little shorter, but kept the vertical pupils, so that it would still have that anime vibe, but not be like super weird when you look up under his helmet. So you'll see that when I show the finished helmet, which I already modeled in 3D now. This was just the concept art that I painted initially to figure out what to make it look like. And then that's just the final painting. And then this was the updated concept art. Just added a couple more enemies to balance out the composition a bit. So yeah, that's kind of about the scope and stuff. Anyway, now that all that's out of the way, I'll open up the game and I'll show some playing. This is in the Unreal Editor and all that. So jump in. So this is the game and the test map and all that stuff. It's been updated a little bit since the initial video. But yeah, you can shoot stuff and break the target still and all that good stuff. You can still wall jump and climb walls that way. You can jump down and slide. One thing is that some people commented was I should make his arm grab the wall while he's sliding. It actually does. You just can't really see it from the perspective here. But one thing that I wanted to do with the wall sliding was make it so that you can aim freely while you're sliding, because in the 2D game it's easy because he's just always shooting forward, but in this, since it's 3D now, you actually need to be able to look around and aim. So now he can do that while he slides. You can also kind of move left and right, and that's also why I made the slide a little bit slower while he slides down the wall, because I want you to have time while you're aiming. I'm sort of questioning that now, since so many people wanted it to be faster, though. I might wind up making it a little faster. It does feel a little slow. It could probably be a little faster than this and still give you a reasonable amount of time. But my thinking initially was, even though it is kind of slow, you can aim, you have time to aim, and then if you want, you can always jump off if you want to fall faster. So that was kind of my thinking. But we'll see. I might make it a little faster. It does feel kind of slow. Anyway, moving on to like the dashing, because a lot of people had questions about that. So one thing about the dashing is it actually is not infinite. A lot of people thought it was infinite because it kind of looked like it was. And if you look at the old Mega Man X SNES game, he can just kind of dash repeatedly. So yes, you can dash repeatedly and there's no dash gauge. I don't think there needs to be one. I think it works the way it is on the SNES. But you do have a limited distance if you're just holding down the dash button. So if I hold it down here and don't let go, it will end on its own eventually. So it ends right about there, which is right about the same length as it is in the SNES game. So that was just kind of how I did that. I wanted it to be as much like that game as possible. So that's what it is. And then another thing about the dashing is people were saying, well, you should have some kind of a strafe dash so that you can sort of circle around opponents and stuff. I actually already have that. So the dash does, like if I just stand here and I don't press forward, the dash does move forward automatically. But if you hit left and right, it will strafe like this. Probably see it better over here. So it will strafe like this, and you can strafe around stuff. and you can turn really easily. But also, if you press the left button and you hold back, it will do just a sideways dash. And I don't have that properly animated yet, but you can't really tell since it's first person. But yeah, you can strafe dash around things doing that, which is cool, and I think that'll work for 3D. And sorry, you guys in the comments, I'm not ignoring you. I will get to your questions and address everything you're saying at the end, or not at the end, but after I'm done explaining a little bit. I'm just gonna finish up explaining a couple more things first. But thanks for watching. Thanks for commenting. I'll get to that in a second. But yeah, so that's kind of about the dash. Yeah, so a big goal with this game was just to keep it, you know, true to the SNES game mostly. There are some things that obviously will need to be changed just because you're translating into 3D, and so those things will be adjusted as I find them, and you know, I'll listen to people's suggestions as well. But generally, I want to make it as close an experience as possible in this new format. So that's kind of the goal. And again, I'm still learning Unreal Engine. That's the whole point of this project, is to teach myself Unreal Engine and have this to work on while I do that. So you know, I'll definitely make mistakes as I go and be figuring things out. So there'll be a lot of that. But yeah, so this is kind of where it's at. Now that I have this road asset implemented, I can show you, like, you know, how I intend to like have climbing and all that stuff. So you can climb these just with the jump and everything, and I made them angled so it's a little bit easier to approach them from that side if you need to. So like a better example would be like if I jump down to this road down here, and you can also normal jump and just strafe and do all that stuff too. People were wondering about that too. But when you dash, obviously it makes your jump farther, just like in the SNES game and all that stuff. So if I were to dash jump to here, you can climb pretty easily with the, whoops, you can fall though. It's not impossible to fall. So you can climb pretty easily with the wall jumping, just like in the 2D game, pretty much. And that is sort of one of the ways that you're going to be moving around the intro stage, since it's mostly on this highway kind of stuff. But not all of it will be. You know, there's different little areas, and I think during the mini boss fights and the Vile boss fight, I will have to make the area a little bit wider to give you sort of an option for, you know, how you want to approach that, or just give you more room to fight and stuff, generally speaking. But yeah, it moves pretty well. Everything's really fun to like run around with. Even the wall jumping feels pretty good. It doesn't feel too slow or too janky as of now. It took a little bit of finagling to get it to the point that it's at, but I think I'm pretty happy with how it is so far. And I'll just finish this little run. And then I'll answer some questions. Oh, and this is just kind of showing some of the animations and the mesh, so you can just kind of look at it here. Just see some of the animations that I did and the mesh acting in the engine. But yeah, so that's about the size of it. I think that's pretty much everything I wanted to cover. So yeah, I'm gonna look at the questions and see what you guys are saying. Peak Megaman X says Estrella Zero, thank you. I don't know about that, but thank you. I definitely want to make it fun and good and live up to Megaman X as much as possible. So we'll see how that goes. Sparkster X says the SNES game was actually a shorter dash length, that or it just went faster. It's pretty accurate to the SNES. I tested it a lot and I based it on, actually here, let me go back to my comparison here on my ArtStation. So if you look at the SNES dash, is it this video? Yeah. So this kind of shows the dash distance, and it's really not that far. It's pretty relatively short, and it does move fast, but it's not like crazy fast. And it gives your jump a little more oomph and all that stuff. So it's pretty accurate, I found, to that. I kind of measured the sprite and the dash distance, so it should be pretty close. It doesn't need to be perfectly exactly that down to the centimeter or anything, but I did want to make it pretty comparable. I feel like it is so far when you actually look at them side by side like this. You know, everything might need more finagling though as I go. If anything feels off, I'll definitely change it. Like I said, I might change the slide speed and all that stuff. So we'll see how it goes. Just depends. I'll get back in the game here while I'm talking. And then looking pretty cool so far. Spark TFS says, congrats for your work. Thank you, Spark. That's nice to hear. Estrala0 says, the game is looking really good. Have you made any stress tests to see how much it can handle before lagging? Optimization is important. No, I haven't really done anything like that yet. It's still in the very early stages, but you're right, optimization is important. That is something that tends to go on at the end of the development cycle, though. So I'm not too worried about that just yet. This is still very much at the beginning. But the base mechanics are implemented, so that's just kind of where it's at so far. But yeah, that's true. It is important, optimization. Sparkster says, I also want to ask, why the ammo bar on the Buster? I get that it's for status reasons, but X didn't have one. Why just... I'm assuming you mean why not just have an HUD? Yeah, I kind of talked about that at the beginning. It was just a creative choice, so I kind of thought it would be cool to bring that back from the original Mega Man, because I like the idea, like in certain games like Dead Space, how the HUD is sort of a part of your character. I thought that would be a cool kind of thing, and then if you're standing here and you look down, you can see it fully. It's not actually an ammo gauge, it's just to show like whether you're charging, what weapon you're using, and then the one to the left of that is oh, I guess it would be an ammo gauge when you're using the weapon. Yeah, I forgot about that. A different weapon. But the one and the bar next to that is your health. That's actually how I was going to show everything. And yeah, that was just a creative choice. I realized that X is a robot, and so it totally makes sense for him to have a visual HUD as well, so you could totally do that. Maybe I will choose to do that at some point if I change my mind about it. But the other thing is, I showed earlier, I had some different options that I was thinking about for that. And I think ultimately I may have made the wrong choice in making it too much like the original Mega Man one. I probably should go with F. If you look at F over here, I think it looks a little bit more like what you would expect for an update for, like, if Mega Man X had that. If you look at the F one here, or even G, maybe one of these other ones. But yeah, this original one, it does feel a little bit too reminiscent of the original Mega Man. I think that confused some people, so yeah, but everything's still, you know, subject to change. I might change it back to, or change it to this F1 eventually, or maybe get rid of it altogether and just go with an HUD visor display. I'm definitely going to have other elements, like a warning thing, maybe some targeting stuff. Yeah, so this is, again, still in the early stages, still kind of figuring that stuff out. But I thought it would be cool to kind of have it on the arm, so we'll see if I stick with that. Astral0 says, it looks so cool, thanks again. Why having a boring HUD when you can implement it in game? Yeah, I thought it would be fun. It does make sense since X is a robot, like I was saying. He could totally have a visual one as well, so we'll see how that goes. But yeah. Sparkster says, alright, I respect that, that's fair. Thanks, man. Yeah, just trying stuff out here, you know, trying to make it cool and fun. And then Estrala says, it's like the Metroid shooters, HUD looking like Samus visor, creative choices. Yeah, for sure. And then 10Ran432 says, I just wanted to drop in and say hi, this is looking sick. I'll keep dropping in every now and then, keep it up. Thank you, man. Really appreciate that. Yeah, I love it's been cool to see how many people were psyched about it after the video started blowing up. Because yeah, when I initially posted it a year ago, there was not much attention on it, and that's fine. I was just doing it as a learning thing anyway, but I did shelve it because I felt like I had other stuff I should be focusing on after a while. So now that I see people are interested in it, I definitely want to keep working on it, and I will. So yeah, it's been cool seeing all the support and people excited about it. I like that, you know, as a game dev, and you know, I want people to be entertained by the things that I make. That's kind of the point. So I want people to like the stuff, because that means I'm doing a good job. Sparkster says, honestly, why not both, or give people a choice for the HUD? Yeah, that could be an option. Just like a setting in the menu, maybe, I suppose. in terms of having it on the, yeah, it could totally be a setting or something. And then Astrala Zero says, you could add some blue stuff around the screen like Metro games. That'd look sick. Make it really look like you are X. Yeah, I think that it makes sense since he's a robot to have maybe some visual HUD elements. So I'm totally open to that. I definitely want to have certain things like a targeting system and maybe like a warning thing for like if an enemy's to your left or behind you and shooting at you or something like that maybe. And like, you know, just kind of cheesy cool stuff, like, you know how like when you get to the boss there's like the warning thing in the original games. Probably have that on the HUD just showing like that there's a big baddie coming or something. I think that'd be cool, you know, cool and cheesy. That'd be nice, I think. Hopefully my keyboard clicking isn't too obnoxious. I'm trying to think. I think there were some other things that people had were questioning a little bit, and I'm trying to remember what they were. Just little nothing kind of things, but Sparkster X says, guess the next big question is, what are you going to prioritize next? Weapons, sound, models? Well, as I said, so far the scope currently is just to make the intro stage. So for prioritizing next, I'm definitely going to make more models. I've actually made some block-ins for the enemy models. Like if you look at my concept art that's at the beginning of the video, all of those models are made. Those models are done, or at least the block-ins are done. I still need to detail them and optimize them and stuff, but they're all there. They exist already. That concept art is mostly 3D with a little bit of paint over for texture and stuff. But yeah, those already exist. So implementing those into the game, making sure everything works. But I guess my main priority coming up next is just actually the gameplay, like implementing, you know, the enemy stuff and how the damage is going to work, because I've sort of been playing with the idea of making the damage sort of physical. Like, for example, I really like the feeling you get when you break these targets. Like, they actually blow apart, and it's really satisfying and fun. So I don't know if this will be possible, but I think it would be cool to maybe do something like that with the enemies, so that instead of just a standard thing where it's like each blast is a numerical value of like an HP value that it removes from the enemy, and then they play an animation when they die. I think it would be cool if like maybe the enemies had like a certain, you know, like maybe if you hit them sort of glancingly, it just sort of tears into them a little bit and does a little damage there. And then if you hit them more centered, it'll do more damage and it'll actually blow them apart depending on the enemy and the damage and all that stuff. So I don't know if I'll actually be able to implement that, but I think that would be a really fun way to take it, so that everything is very physically gratifying. Like when you, just like when you shoot these targets, they blow up and stuff, you know, that's feels good. So yeah, we'll see. But I'm thinking about stuff like that right now. I think is the priority, just gameplay. Implementing those models and optimizing them so that they work in game, animating stuff, you know, there's a lot of stuff to be done there. Oh, one thing I forgot to show, I'll show right now. I'll answer a few more questions first. If you're willing, Astrala Zero says, if you're willing to add the visor funnies in the game, I think it'd be cool if that stuff went red when boss battling. Yeah, something like that. That'd be cool. Or at least the warning at the beginning, and probably, you know, that whole thing of going red when you're low HP and all that stuff. Maybe even blinking, kind of like in the game. X's the little diamond on his forehead, it blinks, you know, when he's low on HP, and he'll breathe heavy and all that stuff. I think it'd be cool to sort of implement that. Like the screen might flash a little bit, something like that. Be pretty cool. Brushwork by Everett R says, hey Everett, what's up? This is looking killer, man. Love seeing your progress. Thanks, man. Yeah, working on it slowly but surely. Astral Zero says, this man said, let me cook, and suddenly Maverick Hunter 2 is on the way, and we didn't even have the first one. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, hopefully, I just want to make something cool, and, you know, hopefully people like it. Yeah, I actually didn't know about Maverick Hunter X before I made this project, and then when the video started blowing up on YouTube of the first devlog, I saw people commenting about that, and I was like, oh, that's so interesting. I never knew that existed, and I looked it up. It's funny, a lot of people think that was Retro Studios, the studio that did Metroid Prime, but it was actually a different studio. They're also based in Austin, Texas, so maybe that's why it was confusing to people. But it's a studio called Armature Studios, and they got canceled because the game got canceled because there was a lot of internal conflict about the direction of it, and also because Keiji Inafune, the guy who makes the producer and artist for Mega Man, he left Capcom right at the time it was in development. And that got a lot of Mega Man games canceled, actually, including that one. So, pretty unfortunate. I don't know, when I watched the trailer for that one, I thought they went a little too heavy on the grittiness, and it didn't really look or feel like Mega Man anymore to me. It sort of felt more like a RoboCop or something, but it could have been cool for sure. It's always a bummer when a game gets canceled, though. I'll never forgive Disney for canceling Star Wars 1313. I really, really want to play that game. Like, if there's any canceled game I could play, it would be that. I would definitely want to play that. But yeah, that's always a bummer. You know, there's a lot of politics that goes on in game development, and it happens a lot, unfortunately. Yeah, moving on. Sparkster X says, so kind of like location-based physical damage, that's totally possible in Unreal. Yeah, definitely. When I say I don't know if it'll be possible, I just mean, like, I don't know if I'll be able to do that. I'm not, I'm still just learning Unreal. I don't know how complex everything is, so I don't want to make promises. I have been able to figure it out as much as I have so far to at least get this working. So I'm pretty confident that I should be able to figure out at least all the basic stuff. I did all the particle systems on my own too, like for the blaster, this whole thing. I learned how to do the particle systems and how to implement them and all that good stuff. And I also added the particle systems to the blasts, like those trails that come off and all that stuff. So yeah, I've been figuring things out. So I'm pretty confident that I'll be able to do it, but I'm not making it too big of promises, just to be sure. But yeah, I'm definitely gonna try to make it as cool as I can. Do a good job with it. Nonsense. I have faith you'll be able to figure it out. You just need to know where to look. Sparkster says, yeah, I think I'll be able to figure most of the stuff out. So far I have been able to, so it's just you got to be patient, and you got to be diligent and be willing to just work through those issues and do a lot of troubleshooting. So I think it's very doable. Unreal Engine's blueprint programming system, for people who don't know or might be interested, I'll show you some of that. Let me see what I got here that I can show. Is it this? Yeah, so I don't know how many of you have seen it before. Mine's a mess right now because I didn't clean it up. It's really like chaotic. But this is what actually makes the game work. It's a visual programming language. And so you just go in and you adjust the variables, and you just make the mechanics work after a while. Like, I think this is the shooting, isn't it? Did I label this? Yeah, shooting input. So this is how the charging works and all that stuff. And the cool thing about it is it's not just text-based, so you don't have to just sit there and type. You can actually, if you're like kind of a visual person, you can look at the nodes and you can see, oh, this is affecting this, and there's different types of nodes that do different things. And after you look up a bunch of stuff and follow like a bunch of tutorials, you sort of get a sense for like what's possible and the different kinds of nodes that exist, and you sort of learn how to do some of the programming, visual programming, it's really cool. It's definitely the way I like to work. I'm not like a person who wants to sit there and learn how to type and write code. So yeah, I definitely like the visual programming. I think it's really cool that's possible and so capable in Unreal. One thing I was worried about with that was I didn't know how limited that would be. Because it's node-based programming, I thought maybe it wouldn't be able to do, all the things that I needed, but it's really, really versatile. It works really well. I think you can go very far with it, so it's really impressive. Unreal is just such a great engine. I'm super happy to be able to work with it. L4Z Creations says, can't stay too long to watch the stream, but I just wanted to say, looks great, man. Keep it up. Thank you so much. Appreciate the support. Astrala Zero says, I think the max charge shot might be a bit small. In the original game, it was really easy to hit, so I think the FPS should have. Yeah, it might be too small. I'm not actually sure. Let me see what it looks like. Yeah, it might be a little small. I think I may have noticed that and thought like, I think I may have made it a little smaller because it was taking up too much screen space and it sort of hurts your view. It's only a second though, so maybe not. Maybe it doesn't matter. How big is it in the game? I actually forgot. Yeah, it's like the size of the whole character, basically. It might even be a little bit larger, huh? Let's see. Pause that. Yeah, it's pretty much the height of X, maybe a tiny bit smaller because it's not on the ground there, but it's pretty big. Let's go back to Unreal. Let me see that again. Yeah, it's probably a little small. I could make it bigger. No big deal. Yeah, good catch, man. Everett says, Brushwork by Everett R says, oh damn, this is like Blender's textures. Yeah, I made all the textures in Blender. Everything, all the 3D, all the stuff that I made so far has been Blender. Yeah, so. What made it look like Blender's textures to you? I'm curious. That might just be because I'm not very good at making textures, Everett. That might not be because of Blender. Blender's pretty capable for textures. It's not as good as Substance Painter or anything, but it's pretty solid. I think I'm just not that good at making textures yet, but I'll get better as I go. But yeah, these are kind of, they're not perfect for sure. They're sort of, like some of this, when I baked it, it got really weird. Like these parts, it actually looks better in Blender. I would open that up right now, but I don't want to go digging for the file. I might show it later or something. But yeah, the textures, if they look kind of wonky, that's my fault. It's not Blender. Probably. Oh, it does look like Blender texturing and shading. Yeah, maybe. Again, I think that might be me. I don't know if that's Blender. I think it might be my bad. But yeah, it should be good. It'll get better as I get better. So that's kind of the idea. No, it looks great, Astral Zero says. We meant the code looked like Blender stuff. Oh, you mean the nodes? Oh, yeah, it's totally like that. Yeah. Oh, is that what you meant? I thought you were ripping on my textures. That's all good. Yeah, the nodes definitely look like that. It's exactly the same kind of concept. It's just node-based programming. Geometry nodes in Blender is like that too. So yeah, if you're familiar with that, it also has that. You can make textures like that in Unreal as well. They also have their node-based texturing and all that stuff. So yeah, if you're it's different than Blender, but it's, you know, if you're familiar with that, it's kind of the same idea. Yeah, at least the same conceptually speaking, as Blender's texture nodes for sure. Yeah, I've done a lot of experimenting with Blender texture nodes, so that helped me get familiar with the nodes as well, or be a little bit more familiar when I started at least. Yeah, and yeah, as Everett says, no, you're texturing your solid. Yeah, I got confused. Sorry. I should have elaborated the visual node system. Yeah, it is similar. Yeah, I got you now. But to be fair though, my textures are a little wonky. They did look better in Blender. My bakes, it's more that the textures were good, but my bakes were bad. I don't know how to. I think it's because my, what do you call it? My this is getting into nerdy stuff now, but my I forgot the word. When you unwrap, my map is not good because it's too small. It's like the pieces are too small. Like I couldn't fit it all into the map properly, which is a problem that people have when they don't know how to do that properly. So that's something I'm still learning. So it is kind of like fuzzy in some places where it shouldn't be, but in Blender it looks good when it's not baked. It was just the baking that kind of screwed that up a little bit. So that's what I was talking about. But yeah, the nodes do look a lot like the Blender texture nodes. It's the same kind of concept. Yeah, I love that because you don't have to type. You know, you don't have to just type into a void and hope that your code works out. It's good for visual people. The code looks like, Astral Zero says, the code looks like that meme with the crazy guy through it. Yeah, it does look like that. My code's a mess, so other people's will look a lot more organized. I didn't organize mine yet, so they're just kind of all over the place. Yeah, it looks crazy. I kind of like it though. It's kind of cool looking. Do a 360 no scope? Alright, I'll try. Alright, cool. That was pretty close. I'm not that good at shooters. Can't pull it off. Sorry. Just run around here a little bit. If anyone has any more questions, feel free to ask. Yeah, I'm trying to still remember. There was some other little things that I was going to answer about, like the graphics and stuff, but there were questions on comments on the video, but I can't remember what they were right now. It was kind of stuff like I mentioned already with the wall slide. Like when you're up here, you can actually see the hand kind of grabbing there, but you can't really see it going here. So people thought the hand wasn't grabbing the wall, little stuff like that, but you know, not big deal stuff, but just stuff I was going to point out. And yeah, it's kind of weird that there's no sound at all yet. So it's like, you know, just running around and blowing things up, but nothing's making noise yet. Yeah, one thing that I have no idea how I'm going to do yet is enemy AI and stuff. That's all totally new to me, so I have no experience with that, and that's all going to be brand new stuff for me to learn. But yeah, it's all necessary things to know if you want to make a game, so it's part of the process. Astral0 says speedrunners to get their hands on this game. Yeah, be crazy. Speedrunners are nuts. Dramalok says hello. Hello, Dramalok. I don't know if I'm saying your name right. Spark TFS says Megaman X FPS no scope speedrun. Yeah. Have you played Ultra Kill? Okay, so I've heard people mention Ultra Kill a ton in the comments, and I have no idea what it is. I've never played it, didn't look it up yet. But yeah, a lot of people were comparing it to Ultra Kill or saying it was a lot like Ultra Kill. I'm assuming it's some sort of a fast-paced shooter. But yeah, I'm actually not familiar with it. Is it a good game? Is it fun? Let me know. If it can help me with this, maybe I'll check that out. Dramalok says, this reminds me that Mega Man X when they're developing, but X looks like Iron Man. Yeah, we were talking about that a little earlier, the Maverick Hunter X game that got canceled. Yeah, he looked, they went pretty crazy making his design look nuts. I felt like they went a little too far away from what it was. Like, it was the kind of thing where if you looked at it and someone didn't tell you it was Mega Man X, you wouldn't even guess that it was Mega Man X. Or at least when I watched the trailer, that's what it was to me. Like, I thought it looked way too different. I was really confused. Mega Man X, Astral0 says, Mega Man X FPS any percent. Crazy skips with the long dash and wall jumping around the whole map. Yeah. Victor Giacometti says, FPS is lit. Thank you, Victor. I'm trying to make it cool. This is just the beginning, but it'll get cooler as it goes. Hopefully, assuming I don't mess it up. Yeah, there was a couple other games. People kept saying it was like Doom. I thought that was kind of interesting because, I mean, the only way it's like Doom is that it's a shooter. I don't really see it being all that much like Doom, other than in the way that like all shooters are kind of like Doom, because Doom was like the primordial shooter. But yeah, I didn't really think of Doom as an influence, but I guess it's sort of, anytime you're making a shooter, I guess it's sort of like going to be somewhat influenced by Doom, just because it's so ubiquitous. Oh, right, and I forgot. Yeah, I was going to show, because I haven't shown yet. So this is the finished model with the head. So I finished making the head. And I haven't, the only reason it's not on the model in the game yet is because I didn't rig it yet, so it doesn't move with the thing yet. But it is attached and it's modeled. I based it on my concept art. You can see there on the left. I showed a little bit earlier. And it came out looking pretty similar. There were a couple little proportional adjustments I had to make, but generally it turned out pretty much like what I wanted. And see, this is what I was talking about, how like I needed to cut the eyes down a bit. Because if I made it like Mega Man originally was designed, like this, in the reference here, it would have looked super weird looking up under his helmet, I thought, just to see those big old ovally eyes underneath, because his design's kind of interesting in that the helmet really becomes like the angry look on his face. Like, the eyes aren't actually hooded at all. They're always constantly open. And the helmet just creates that angle that makes him look angry. or determined or whatever. So that was an interesting thing that I had to figure out with the design. Because if I made it look like that, maybe it would have looked okay. But I just thought like looking under the helmet and seeing that big eye underneath would be super weird looking. So I just cut it down a little bit like this and kept it sort of that anime style with the vertical pupils and stuff, but just not like all long and elongated under the helmet and all that. I thought that would be kind of the way to go. So it looks pretty good so far, I think. Yeah, just showing more of the helmet. I think it came out pretty good. I haven't unwrapped the textures yet, so I still have to actually bake the textures for the helmet too, but I think I'm going to do that as one mesh now that I've combined it, so I still have that to do as well. But I think it came out decently. It looks like the concept art. Feels pretty good, generally speaking. Looks like Megaman. Or Megaman X, rather. Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting that fully implemented. And yeah, since it's an FPS, you won't really see it that much, but you'll definitely see it during during cutscenes and stuff. So it's still important to make it and have it on there, and also shadows and everything. So yeah, that was another thing I wanted to show people, that's in there and all that, because the original mesh doesn't have that. It's just a headless Megaman. Dremelok says, wow. Spark TFS, looking pretty sleek, nice. I like how it's a middle ground between cartoonish and realistic. Yeah, that's pretty much what I was going for. Wanted to keep it true to the original design, but not look like too creepy and weird. Because sometimes when you translate that stuff into 3D and 3D models, it just kind of doesn't look right. So yeah, you do have to kind of think about how you're going to do some of that stuff and adjust things. And yeah, really overall, the main thing I want is for it to be very fun. So like, I feel like this ability to move around quickly and do these really crazy jumps like this and all that is really key to making it fun, because games where you can move around fast and stuff generally tend to feel pretty fun. So I definitely wanted that. And the SNES game, the original one, has a lot of that game feel. So I definitely wanted to keep that in mind while I was making all this stuff. Some people mentioned fall damage too. I'm not sure if I'll have fall damage just because it's not in the SNES game. I don't think it's super necessary. I sort of have in my mind that X can just fall just about any distance and be okay, because he's a robot and he probably has shock absorbers or some other explanation. He can also use his beam and just beam down places too, so I don't know. I don't know if it totally makes sense, but I don't, as of now, I don't think he'll need fall damage in this game. I think it'll be more fun if you don't have it, because you can make those really big jumps and stuff, but if I feel like it's necessary as I keep going, I might implement something like that. Estrella Zero says, I think lore-wise, X has shock absorbers in his boots. Yeah, I'm sure there's something like that, because he does take some pretty big falls at times, so it would make sense. And also, he's mechanical. He's not a person, so he can definitely take a lot more than like the average human can. So should be all right. It's a good excuse. Sem says, may I make a suggestion? In the PS1 Mega Man X games, X could fire the Buster and a weapon without needing to switch between them. In the PS1 Mega Man X games, X could... You mean in like X4? He could fire the Buster and a weapon without needing to switch? I don't remember that. I always remember having a switch when you had a new weapon. Unless you mean like the beam saber, when he had the beam saber and he could use that. But I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure in X4, 5, and 6 you still had to switch between different weapons. I'm not positive, but I think so. I think I remember that. There was a dedicated Buster button for X. And which one? X4? Or all the 4 through 5? Or 4 through 6, you mean? I'm curious. I don't remember. I don't recall that. You might be right though. I might just not remember. Astrala Zero says no. Yeah, in the PS1 era, X had a separate button for his button. Oh, you might be right. Interesting. Yeah, I must have. I may have played those games all the way through and just never even noticed that. I may have just switched it. That's totally possible. Yeah, that's an interesting idea. Yeah, I could do something like that. Although, so far for the scope of this, I'm really just planning on making the intro stage, so he won't necessarily have other weapons, but maybe just for the sake of making this as a good demo, I might just include some of the other weapons anyway in the intro stage as like a bonus kind of thing. So you can play with some of them. I think it'd be really cool to make like Storm Eagle's weapon in this. Like that would be such a fun that would be a really fun thing to have in this shooter in Unreal Engine. That would be awesome with all the physics and stuff. The big tornado attack, that'd be pretty sick. So I might do something like that just for the hell of it, even though I'm only making the intro stage. It'd probably be a good idea just to get an idea of how that would work with the weapon swapping and stuff. Yeah. Oh, it was mapped to triangle by default. You know what? I think I do remember something like that. Yeah, you're probably right about that. That's interesting. Yeah, I probably didn't use it very much. It's like that on X8 and X7 too, Spark TFS says. And Sem said X4 and 5. I didn't play X, sorry. Interesting. Yeah, I never even played 7 and 8, actually. I'm not familiar with those ones. Yeah, I think I do remember something like that. Yeah, I think you're right. There was probably mapped there to triangle. Yeah, I could potentially do something like that. Yeah, and the thing I'm looking forward to the most, honestly, is doing the boss fight with Vile. I think that's going to be tons of fun, and it's going to be really hard to figure out how to implement all that stuff exactly in the 3D world, but I think it's going to be super fun, and it'll be really cool if I can pull that off. So I'm really excited to work on that part of it. That's sort of way down the line, but it'll be fun. Also, just making Zero's model will be fun, and Vile's model with the big mech and all that stuff. That's going to be really fun stuff to model in Blender, I think, so I'm looking forward to that as well. Estral Zero says avoid X7, play the hell out of X8. Oh, really? Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I've definitely heard that 7 is bad. I've heard that people don't like 8 very much either, but I definitely remember a lot of people saying 7 was no good. I think that was probably why I never picked it up. Sem says X7 is really bad. I don't recommend playing it. People have called it the Sonic 06 of Mega Man. That's pretty terrible if it's that bad. That's harsh. Yeah, Sonic 06 is a rough game. That's really funny. X8 is goated. Don't listen to these fools. Yeah, I'll have to find out for myself. That was Estrella Zero saying that. It's funny. Yeah, you know what's weird about Mega Man X and Mega Man in general? It was this game that, like, growing up, I always loved it. A lot of friends I knew always loved it. But there was always a couple people who, like, just freaking hated Mega Man. Or Mega Man X or whatever. And I never understood it. Like, it was a very polarizing thing. Like, people either completely loved the game or they completely hated it. And there were a couple people who I know, and even to this day, some of them just hate Mega Man and hate Mega Man X. And I always thought that was the strangest thing. Like, why? Like, what's there to hate? Like, do you just not like platformers? Or I never really understood it. But it did seem to be a very polarizing game for some reason. Brock Spasher says, ooh, FPX stream, yeah. Just showing the update from the video that I made before, just kind of showing where it's at right now. Not a lot of stuff has changed yet, but I'm sort of explaining the scope of it and stuff. This is all recorded, so it'll be on YouTube later if people want to watch the beginning of the stream where I was explaining stuff more. Right now I'm just kind of answering questions and playing the game a little bit, just showing people how it works and stuff. Spark TFS says X7 had good ideas, but the execution was pretty bad. X8 also has its flaws, but it's overall a pretty good game if you can deal with its shortcomings. Okay, interesting. You know, I probably will try them out someday eventually, just for the hell of it. Um, yeah, I've definitely heard nothing but bad things about 7, though. I haven't really heard much about 8. So, Astrolozero says, X4 was my first game ever when I was only 6 years old. Wow, that's wild. One of my first games ever was Mega Man X, the original one. I was probably... Geez, I don't know. I was probably like 7 or 8, probably. Yeah, pretty close to there. It wasn't my very first game, though. I remember my very first game was Diddy Kong Racing on N64. It was pretty fun back in the day. It's kind of like an early version of Mario Kart. And Borger, what's up, man? Heyo, checking in on things. The game looks amazing. Thank you, Borger. Yeah, just kind of showing updates and stuff. I was just saying earlier that I was talking about the scope of the project and the direction that I'm going to be taking it in earlier, and kind of talking about how it's been going. So this is all going to be recorded and up on YouTube, so people can catch up if they want to. If you want to go back and watch that part later, you can. And thanks. I'm glad it's looking good so far. Brock Spasher says, from now I'm gonna dub this project FPS. Yeah, I caught that too. Hey, whatever you want to call it, it's cool as long as people know what it is. Borger says, oh look, I'm not the only one here this time. Yeah, that's true. I get a lot more viewers with this stream than my drawing streams. Borger's the only one who checks out my drawing streams usually. Him and Everett and a couple other random people will check it out, but yeah, this gets more attention, I guess. Video games, it's fun. And Brock Spasher says, my first Mega Man game wasn't X or even Classic. It was actually Battle Network 6, Psybeast Falzar. I never played that many of the Battle Network games. I think I played one of the Game Boy Advance ones, and I played the GameCube one to the end. I finished that one, I think. And I liked the show a lot. Actually, I don't know if everybody knows this, but the show, the old Mega Man X Battle Network, or Mega Man Battle Network show, is actually all on YouTube for free now. The company that owns it hosts it on YouTube for free. You can go watch it. It's really cool. I was watching it several months ago when I found that out. But your first game was sorry, where was that comment? Battle Network 6. Yeah, I never even played that one. Psybeast Falzar. Interesting. You must have liked it if you stuck with Mega Man, right? Astrolozero says the YouTube algorithm blessed Daniel. Yeah, it did. This is the first thing that I've posted that's gotten as many views as it has the video that I posted with this devlog, so it's true. The algorithm likes it for whatever reason. Brock Spasher says, actually, no, it was Battle Network 5 Team Colonel. Then I bought Battle Network 6 for myself. Oh, okay. So you must have liked that one if you bought 6. Yeah, the Battle Network games were cool. Oh, you know what else I had when I was a kid? I had the PET terminal that came with like the little electronic cards, that little electronic game where you could like fight your friends and stuff with it. Yeah, I thought that was so cool. They knew how to get kids into the merchandise. Yeah, as soon as I saw that show the first time, I was like, I want that thing. They got to make that. Everett R says, beans. What's up, Everett? Why beans? Astrolozero says, there are drawing streams. I just subbed these past few days. I'm definitely checking it out. Yeah, for sure. Feel free. I usually try to do Mondays through Wednesdays. Sometime between 7 and 9 I'll go on for about an hour or two usually. And I'll draw stuff because I'm mainly my training was as a concept artist, and then I just recently got into making games for myself. Trying to make my own games, which is what this project is all about, teaching myself that. But yeah, I do drawing and illustration and concept art, so I stream that on a few days a week usually. So yeah, feel free to check those out if you want to. Tonight's different. I just wanted to update people on this. I figured it'd be fun to do it as a stream so I can answer questions as opposed to just make a video spitting out information to people. Spark TFS says, my first contact with Mega Man was the Battle Network anime. Then I saw X1 and it was love at first sight. But actually, I think the first Mega Man game I beat was X8. Oh, that's funny. I can't imagine starting on X8 and, wow, like going backwards. That's crazy. Yeah, the anime was cool. I liked it. It was very different. Obviously, it was a different concept, but it's pretty cool. I used to love the Mega Man Zero games as well. They were really, really difficult, but they were super fun. And I thought the art style was cool when I was a kid. A lot of people didn't like it, but I thought it was pretty neat. The shape language is freaking amazing. It's so crazy looking and unique. Check them out, Bisha. Sorry, I lost my place here in the comments. Oh yeah, first contact. Brock's Basher says Astral Zero. I haven't checked. Talking to that. Okay, that's cool. Astral Zero. Message retracted. What'd you say, Astral? What are you up to? Brock's Basher says, okay, talking. And search Brazil. Brushwork by Everett says, Beans is just like nice, cool beans, but hold the cool. Oh, okay, for sure. I thought it was totally the opposite. I thought it was negative. Brock's Basher. Okay, talking to each other. That's cool. I don't need to read all those. One of those. Yeah, so let me know if there's anything else you want to know about the game or the project or anything else you want to see. I showed a little bit of the my coding nodes and all that stuff, the animations. You know, feel free to let me know. I'm just going to be scooting around in the game for a little longer, and then I'll probably get off of here and get some work done. Brock Spasher says, if it helps Dan, you can open your phone if you haven't already, so you have chat going on a separate screen and you don't lose your place. I'm way ahead of you. I got two screens. One screen I'm playing the game. The other screen I got the chat, so I'm all set. I just lost my place because there were more chats coming in. But thank you for the tip, though. You hate typing on your phone while your cat tries to mess up your typing? That's funny. I'll show more of that strafe dashing because people had been asking about that. I already kind of talked about that, but yeah, so the way the dash works is it does push you forward automatically if I just hit shift, which is the dash key here. But if I hit, you know, left and right, I can strafe a little bit while dashing. And then if I hit left and back, I can actually just dash completely to the side like a strafe dash. So I can dash around something and shoot at it. I think that'll be handy for like the mini bosses and boss fights and stuff. Oh, another thing, I remember one of the other things that people were asking about in the comments too, on the video. The first devlog was that a lot of people were commenting that the shots were too slow. And maybe they might be a little slow for most FPSs, but I think in terms of like how fast the shots move in the SNES game, I think they're pretty accurate to that. For now, I'm gonna kind of leave them as they are because I don't feel like they're too slow. Like even if I dash and shoot, they still move forward pretty good pace. If I feel like they're a little clunky later on, I'll speed them up. I mean, might even try it just for the hell of it, just to see if it feels better. But as of now, I think it's pretty close to the speed in the SNES game, and I'm trying to keep everything pretty close to that, so it still feels like that game. We'll see how that goes, though. Definitely still at the beginning stages and open to trying different things. So, but that was just my thinking on that, because a lot of people did mention that. There's even that part in the original SNES game where you're in Armored Armadillo stage and you're riding on that minecart kind of thing, and when you shoot while you're riding on that, because you're going a little bit faster, you can actually catch up to your own shots. So the shots in that game definitely don't go too fast. They're very traceable on the screen. So that was kind of one of the things I was keeping in mind. Spark TFS says, I usually use a program called On Top Replica to put the chat over what I'm playing while streaming, but I'm not sure if the program is... Oh, that's interesting. I've never heard of that. I might check that out, see if it's still out there. Astrala0 says, do we have a Discord community? I think that could be a cool way to keep us updated on the project and chat. You know what? That's a really good idea. I should do that. I'll probably do that. I've set up a Discord once before, so I kind of know how it works. Yeah, I think I will do that. That's a pretty good idea. And then anyone who is interested can join it and keep up with the project. And I can also post and let you guys know ahead of time when I'm streaming. For right now, I've been doing that on Instagram, but there's not a lot of people who watch me on YouTube who also follow my Instagram, so it's sort of pointless, but I just do it for the heck of it anyway. But yeah, I think Discord is a good idea. I will do that. I'll make one, and then I can post that stuff there to let you guys know before I stream. I think there's also a way to do it via YouTube, but I haven't experimented with that yet. But yeah, Discord is a really good idea, and I can post updates there and stuff too. Thank you, Astrala0. I'll definitely make that. Yeah, very good suggestion. Astrala0 says, what's an Instagram and how is instant? I don't think it's instant. I don't know why it's called Instagram. I guess it is like you post. I guess it's instant. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that's why it's called that. Are you joking? You really don't know what Instagram is? I imagine you're joking. You must know what it is. Brox Basher says, I feel you. I only post on my Twitter and Instagram, but if I don't put my post up on other servers I'm in, I get very low engagement. Yeah, I don't know. I was just looking at that recently. Instagram is like absolutely dead, or at least mine is, for engagement. Like when I post stuff on there, my reach is only like 15 people, and it's all people I follow, or people who follow me, except for like one. It's totally dead. But then if I post stuff on TikTok, it'll get like thousands of reach and tons of people see it. And on YouTube, obviously, it gets tons of reach and people see it. So I don't know what's the deal with Instagram. The only exception is when you post Reels. I guess they're just trying to compete with TikTok, and that's why. And even Reels don't get as much reach as like if I post something on TikTok. So yeah, it's interesting. Social media weirdness. Yeah, I figured you were joking. Astrala0 says, no, I'm joking. I just don't use Instagram because it's not my thing. Yeah, I just post my art stuff on it, so, and it's not even really for that anyway, so, you know. There are a lot of artists on Instagram who do really well on Instagram, though, so, you know. I definitely follow a lot of artists on Instagram, but I think most people, that's not what they use for Instagram. It's not really for artists and game devs so much. It's for food pictures and girls promoting their OnlyFans. That's mainly what it's for. Bronx Basher says, I recently got myself Blue Sky, and it's currently inactive since I don't have much of a reach there. I've heard a little bit about Blue Sky. What is it? It's like another kind of Instagram or Twitter social media. I think it's I heard that it was, I think it's invite only. It's one of those ones, right? Yeah, I don't really know much about it. I've heard vague rumblings though. Megaman Classic and Megaman X Stage. Alex Pober. Astrala Zero says Blue Sky sounds like Skype 2, and that's not good. Yeah, Skype 2 probably wouldn't be very good. I hope it's not that. Yeah, does anyone even use Skype anymore? Does Skype still exist? I feel like Discord is sort of taken over. It's like a better version of all that. I used to use Skype way back in the day. If anyone else has questions, feel free to ask. Any questions about the game? I've already covered a lot of stuff, and this is all recorded, so you can go back and watch the recording of this stream once it's over. But, you know, if you have any other questions, feel free to ask while I'm here just noodling around with the game. If you want me to show you any more of the concept art or anything that I've shown already, let me know. People who are just tuning in. Now we're just talking about different social medias and stuff, which is funny. Skype died to Discord and a fair. Little hearts always blocking the 1v1. Fox only. No, I don't. Yeah, I feel like Skype is kind of gone. It's got to be, but it still exists. Like, you can still download it, right? So somebody must be using it. Oh yeah, and Zoom replaced that more than the Discord even. Yeah, Zoom's the big one now. Astral Zero says, Daniel, can I have a free demo of Mega Guy Man X Twitter versus the world? What? Is that what this is called now? It's cool. Yeah, I would love to pass this out when it's done and just let people play it and experience it. I have no intention of selling it. Obviously, I can't do that. That wouldn't be legal. But I would really hope that I'll be able to just give it to people to try for free. Just a nice demo when I'm done. I don't know if I'll be able to, though. I have to make sure that's legally sound. I'm 99% sure that I can make it and that I can post the videos online and show it to people. But I am not sure that I can actually give it to people. I'm not sure that I can do that. So I'll have to look into that. I know the guy who is making the Ocarina of Time remake in Unreal Engine. I know he somehow is giving it to people to try because you can download it. I think you have to subscribe to his Patreon. But I think he also got in some legal trouble with Nintendo over that. And somehow he's still doing it though. So I don't know if they reached an agreement or if like maybe they just found that what he was doing wasn't a violation. I don't really know what the story is there. I know he's the only person who I can think of though who's been able to like give out a version of what he's doing, which is very clearly obviously, you know, something that he doesn't own the property for. So I'm trying to be respectful of that and not, you know, overstep or anything. But yeah, it would be nice if I could give it out. I just have to figure out how that works exactly. He also lives in another country than I do, so maybe that has something to do with it. But yeah, I'm going to look into that stuff, so hopefully people can play it. It would be kind of a shame if no one ever gets to play it. Bronx Basher says, watching this game dev stream, a thought came to mind, along with the core mechanics of the OG X games being incorporated into this. Do you suppose new mechanics will have to be made and plugged in? So, my philosophy for that, at least as of now, is only as needed. So if I have like an instance where I feel like something really needs to be included in order to make it work better in 3D or to adapt something from the original game to 3D, then yes, I'll make a change. But I'm not really planning on just adding all kinds of new mechanics. My goal is to try to keep it as much like the original game as possible. So if I find something's completely necessary, then I'll do it. But otherwise, generally, I just want to keep it as close to that as I can. Because I do think Mega Man X is... I mean, there's no such thing as a perfectly developed or designed game, but it's pretty darn close. It's pretty awesome, the way it's designed. So I want to stick to that and stay true to that as much as possible. Astrologero says, I'll call it Ralph if you don't mind. Yeah, go for it. And also says, I mean, that's technically a fan game, so I think it's all fine. Yeah, it is. I just don't know, you know, there's all sorts of weird things, though. Like, technically, any trademarked character can't be used in anything. So if Mega Man, I'm assuming Mega Man is a trademark character, but like, for example, Link and Zelda are trademark characters. So if anyone uses Link and Zelda in anything, technically Nintendo can tell them to stop, even if they're not making money on it, because it's technically considered an infringement of their trademark. And there's all sorts of weird laws with trademark that people often think that Nintendo are the bad guys going after people. Maybe there's some instances where they really didn't need to go after people, but a lot of people don't understand also that when you have a trademarked character, if you don't defend it, you can lose the trademark. So this is something that a lot of people aren't aware of. So to some extent, they do have to go after people who are legitimately infringing on them. There are certainly cases where you could look the other way and say, well, it's technically not a real infringement. But if you have a trademark, you do have to legally defend it, because if you don't, then you can lose the trademark. So that's just something that a lot of people aren't aware of. But yeah, I think the main way that I'm going to be okay is that, number one, I'm not selling it. I'm not trying to make money off it in a direct way, obviously. And because I don't own it, so I mean, I don't own the intellectual property, so that would be, you know, obviously bad. So because of that, I think I'll be okay at least making it, but it remains to be seen whether or not I'll be able to actually give it to people. But yeah, there are other fan games that exist, so I think probably in this day and age it'll be okay. I know it used to be way stricter back in the day. There were these guys back in the day who were making a 3D version of Chrono Trigger. I don't know if you ever saw that. They were remaking it. It was around the PS2 generation, and it sort of looked like a PS2 level game. And it was really cool to see just the little video intro that they made showing the character model and stuff. And that got a heavy cease and desist from Sony, and they had to completely abandon the project. But nowadays, there's all sorts of stuff like that. And they don't get taken down nearly as often as they used to. So I think there's a lot more lenience there. I'm no legal expert, so I don't know what all the ins and outs are, but it does seem more possible today than it used to be. Spark TFS says, generally Capcom's a lot more chill about this kind of stuff than Nintendo, as long as there's no monetization. Yeah, I hope so. Hoping that's the case. This is, I mean, the main purpose of this is just a learning project for me to learn Unreal and do something fun. So, yeah, hopefully that'll be okay. I'm definitely not intending to sell it. I have no intention of that. Like I said, I also, you know, the whole reason I want to learn how to make games is because I want to make my own games too. So I understand, you know, I wouldn't want someone to steal my intellectual property and, you know, rip me off. That's horrible. And Estral0 says, I think you're going to be fine because Megaman X Corrupted has been in the development for more than 10 years and Capcom didn't do anything about it. So that's another one that I heard about in the comments a little bit, but I'm actually not familiar with that game. What is Megaman X Corrupted? I'm curious because, yeah, a lot of people mention that. That's another one that I didn't look into yet. Spark TFS says, I remember listening about that remake. Too bad we never got anything like that again. The Chrono Trigger one, I assume you're talking about? Yeah. Yeah, that was a bummer. It looked really cool. They should, I bet if they, who knows where they're at in their lives now, I have no idea, but if they went back and worked on it today, they could probably do it. Brock's Basher says, all this talk about remakes is making me think about that old Game Boy Color game, Power Quest, that I recently heard about. Game Boy Color game, Power Quest. I've never heard of that. Oh, it's a Mega Man X Metroidvania, basically. Oh, okay, that's what Corrupted is. Mega Man X Metroidvania, basically. It's good, still unreleased though, but the dev have a lot of content on YouTube showing progress. You should check it out. Okay, I'll check that out. That sounds cool. Yeah, I've never even heard of that one. I wonder also if since Keiji Inafune left Capcom, if maybe now that's part of the reason why they're more lenient about Mega Man stuff, is because they're not really planning to do too much with it anyway. Just speculating. I don't know if that's the case, but I mean, I know that they're not, as far as I know, they haven't announced any new games or anything really, so I think the last new game that they did was probably that new Mega Man, was it 11? That they kind of went and redid a Mega Man, and then of course the collections that they've done. But outside of that, I don't really know if they're planning to do anything with it anymore. Brock's Pasture says, Mega Man X Corrupted, in my opinion, is basically the SNES era of X, but there's stuff like suit, power combination, bigger stages, and everything. I haven't fully looked into it myself. It's pretty extensive, though. Interesting. Sounds interesting. To be fair, Astral0 says, us fans are the only reason Mega Man still exists. The franchise is very dead. The little heart is blocking it there. I don't know if you typed something else after is. Yeah, it's there's some truth to that for sure. I mean, you can't have I guess you can have a property without fans, but it's sort of like pointless. The whole point is to like entertain people and, you know, all that. So yeah, it's kind of sad. Oh, and that reminds me of yeah, after that guy left Capcom, they made Mighty Number 9. It's sad that didn't turn out to be good. That was a huge fiasco. Yeah, they made that too. That wasn't Capcom though. That was their own project. That was a bummer. I remember when I first heard about that, I thought it'd be really cool. But not the case, unfortunately. I think it'd be cool to remake some other old games too. There's a bunch of other ones that I would really like to do if I have time someday. Bronx Basher says, yeah, number 9 was an unfortunate case. Yeah, it really was. I don't know what happened there. It'd be interesting to know, like, if it was something having to do with the development, or if they just overpromised and didn't have enough money at the end of the day, or I don't. I mean, I hate to assume that maybe they just didn't care that much, but maybe that's the case. I really don't know. Uh, yeah, it seems like how could that have been a miss? You know, it's kind of odd. Definite bummer. Straw Zero says last release Mega Man saw. Oh yeah, Mega Man X Dive. That's true. They really killed a free mobile game, then immediately released it for a quick buck. Is that what happened? That's interesting. I remember my friend showed me that game, and I was like, I don't want to play that. I don't know. I'm not really into mobile games, so it's not really my thing. Um, yeah, I forgot about that. I think people were kind of into that though, weren't they? It was kind of cool. You could play as a bunch of the different like you could skin. Was it just skins, or could you actually play with like different mechanics of the characters? I think my friend showed me him playing as like Vile or something. It looked kind of cool. But yeah, I'm not into mobile games at all, so I think the last mobile game I actually downloaded was Brawl Stars, and I haven't played that in years. And then Spark TFS says Mega Man's the type of franchise that stays alive only from fan support nowadays. We only get new games once each 5 years at best. Somebody got to spread the word between those releases. Yeah, well, the original creator left Capcom, so I think that's the big reason why they're not really doing much with it anymore. I guess I don't know if it's like out of respect for him, or if they just don't know who they should have take over it, or if they think people won't be interested because it's not that dude working on it anymore. Could be a lot of reasons, but I know that he left the company, and that's kind of the reason, as far as I understand, why they kind of stopped doing stuff with it. Yeah, basically Dive was a mobile thing, and then they closed the servers, made it a paid game on Steam, and called... Oh, it's on Steam now? That's weird. Huh. How much is it? Is it like a full price game? It can't be. It must be like $20 or something, right? Astrology says I play Brawl Stars daily since it came out. Yeah, it's a fun game. I like it. I just don't like I can't play mobile games for long. It just doesn't hold my interest the way playing on a console or a PC does. So yeah, no hate to that game. It's a fun game. Mobile's not my thing really. It's more expensive than Mega Man 11 on Steam? Is that true? That's crazy if that's true. Is it, I always got the sense that it wasn't really like a full game, is it? It seems strange. Yeah, I feel like for the foreseeable future, that'll kind of be the fate of Mega Man, unfortunately, since the creator left. They'll kind of just do rehashes of old stuff. Maybe they'll do a remake or something at some point of something, but yeah, it seems like they're not going to do original stuff with it anymore, at least not for the foreseeable future. Brock Spasher says, I have a 3D artist friend who's recently finished his HD realism Semi-realism rendition of Torchman from Megaman 11. Oh, that's cool. Where can I see that? Does he post on on Instagram or Twitter or something? Spark TFS says, I think the US it might be cheaper, $30 against 40, but the regional pricing rules changed in Brazil between the release of 11 and Dive. So if 11 was launched today, it'd be more expensive. Yeah, that's kind of crazy if they're charging that much for, well, I don't know. 40 is a bit high for what that sounds like it is. Dive. 30 probably. I mean, it's still a little high, but it makes more sense. I don't know. Game development's expensive and all, but when you have a lot of people buying your game, that sort of solves the problem, I think, generally, but depends. Capcom knows better than me. They've been in business for a long time, so they know what they're doing. Brox Basher says he posts on Twitter and Instagram. I can link you his page if you'd like, and he's done all other remap. He just has a ton left to do. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, send it to me if you can send me a message on here, or if you don't want to, like, you know, dox him and post his stuff in the chat, but you can if you want to. I don't care. Just, you know, if he would prefer it's private, you don't have to. You can send me a message, or if I don't know if you can even send me a message on YouTube, like a DM. If not, you can send me a DM on my Instagram, which is just the same as my YouTube. It's at Daniel Bruno Art. You can send it to me. I'll check it out. I like seeing other people's 3D work and stuff. It's cool. I was working on one other thing, which it was just a visual rehash of something, but I don't know if any of you has heard of Chrono Cross. It was sort of a spiritual successor to Chrono Trigger. A lot of people don't like that game because they compare it to like Chrono Trigger, but I always loved that game growing up, and I did some 3D redesigns of some of the stuff for that, and did some like concept screenshots of like what a modern day remake would look like. That's pretty fun to work on. Spark TFS says, the thing I feel about Capcom and Megaman is that there's a lot of people who want to work on new games, but no one with actual influence in the story. Yeah, it could be. It's hard once the creator leaves too. They might just not know who to fill that space of the lead. Or maybe they do and they just don't want to. This could be all sorts of things. It's hard to say. Oh. Oh my gosh, I missed so much. Oh yeah, another comment that I got was that people were saying I need a crosshair. You're right, it does need a crosshair, but there is actually a very small crosshair in the middle of the screen that's sort of faint. I'll just try to show you here against the dark, if you can see it. It's sort of hard to see in the videos. I realize that you can't even see it in the videos, so it's just too small. I'll have to make it bigger and more noticeable, but yeah, it's there. Little X shape. Hopefully you can see that a little bit. It's probably still hard to see. Yeah, it's really faint, but it is there. I thought of that. I'll definitely make it more visible. Probably make it look cooler too. I want to make everything designed to have very much like a Mega Man X feel. Makes sense. Spark TFS says, I mean, most people, or I mean, people that worked with Inafune did say he was more of a businessman. The guy had guts to enter in a room full of executives and convince them to make new games almost each year. Interesting. I hadn't heard that. I know he was an artist. He did designs and stuff. He was probably very business oriented too, though. I think back in his day, people kind of wore a lot more hats generally. They would take on a lot of different aspects of the job because there were just less people in game development. So he probably learned to be kind of both things or multiple things. Make it so X can hit the Gridley when he beats the crap out of Vile, for sure. Brox Basher says, you said your Instagram was the same as your YouTube username? Yeah, it should be at Daniel Bruno Art. Same username. In fact, I might be able to link it in the chat. Let me see if I could do that. Let me know if this link works. Yeah, it should work. Yeah, I got your message, Brox Basher. I'm looking at it now. He did all those models? Down 82 Fuse Man. Yeah, that's cool. It's good stuff. Fuse Man looks awesome. Oh, Fuse Man if he were a NetNavi? That's pretty awesome. Cool stuff, man. Yeah, keep it. Tell him to keep it up. It's good. Oh, you guys collabed on it? Nice. And bye, Astrala. Thank you for checking out the stream. Appreciate it. I'll be getting off here in a little bit soon, too. What did you do textures and he did modeling or something? How'd you guys collab? That's cool. Brox Basher says, I drew up the original concept simplistically and did the torso, then he modeled the head and arms, and he added the right details once I sent him the torso, then color coordinated his palette. That's cool, man. It's awesome. Yeah, it's nice when to see people collabing on stuff. I pretty much always work alone on stuff. I used to collaborate a little bit with other artists when I was in college, but not so much anymore. But yeah, it's always cool to see collaboration and stuff like that. I like that. All right. All right. Well, on that note, I think I'm going to get going here. Thank you to everyone who checked out the stream. And thank you to people who are even still here. That's awesome. Hope you enjoyed this and hope it was informative. I'll get back to regular drawing streams tomorrow. And who knows, as I go, when I'm working on certain things on the project, I'll probably stream some of the 3D work and different stuff that I'm doing. If people are into that, if that seems fun. I don't think it would be too much fun to stream me just working in Unreal on programming and stuff. Plus, I'll have to concentrate more for stuff like that. But yeah, I'll see you guys in the future. Feel free to check out all the future streams and stuff if you want to, if you have time. And thanks for all your support, checking out the stream and for the nice things you guys have to say about the project. It's really cool. I appreciate that a lot. It's cool to see that people are into it. It means I'm doing something right. So, it's awesome. You both came up with a pose and rendered it in respective shaders. Thinking about it now. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, love it. Awesome stuff, man. And thanks. Yeah, it was fun to stream. So I'm glad you guys enjoyed tuning in. Chow was nice too. Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, I'll get going now. Thanks again. Appreciate it. Appreciate all the support. And I'll catch you guys later. Bye-bye.